What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett from Rants. As always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. We're on the road to 1,000. We hope you guys can help us get there. Alright, so Pepe Le Pew has been canceled. He will no longer appear in the upcoming Space Jam 2 alongside LeBron James. He will no longer appear in any upcoming Looney Tunes series or movies. I have a couple different opinions on this, and they're kind of all over the place a little bit. I'm not as pissed about this as I normally am about some of this cancel culture stuff, even though I do feel like it's still a really big overreaction and it's not really getting to the source of our problems. It is used more as a scapegoat. But let me go ahead and read y'all the article real quick. Says right here, interestingly, the skunk was scrubbed from the Space Jam sequel over a year ago, but the news is coming to light amid an ongoing reckoning with the pop culture of yesteryear, including the recent announcement that Disney Plus has put content warnings on select episodes of The Muppet Show. You have got to be kidding me. And Dr. Seuss Enterprises ceasing publication of 6 of the late author's books. Both of those decisions infuriated conservative critics who held them up as examples of cancel culture run amok. I hate that they always try to make everything political. Like, why can't you just say, you know what? You could be on the left or right, and you could completely disagree with them canceling these books, or are putting warning labels on Muppets. Are you flipping kidding me? Like, you don't have to be a conservative to think that's dumb. Like, I mean, there's plenty of liberals that'd be like, whoa, wait a second, seriously, that's what's going on. Like, I mean, so when they always try to make things political, it's like they're trying to justify bad behavior and trying to be like, well, if you are not a conservative or you don't like conservatives, then you need to be on our side. That's garbage. That's always garbage. Um, it says in a March 3rd column praising the Seuss estate for their decision, New York Times opinion writer Charles M. Blow listed Pepe Le Pew among a trio of animated characters from his childhood, including fellow Looney Tunes speedster Speedy Gonzales and Tom and Jerry's Mammy Two Shoes, that have aged poorly. Blow specifically criticized Pepe as having normalized rape culture. Oh my goodness, it is a cartoon skunk made in the 40s. For his vintage animated antics, which involved him relentlessly pursuing a black female cat, Penelope Pussycat, who he repeatedly confused for a skunk mate. The writer later continued his argument on Twitter, citing multiple examples from Looney Tunes cartoons. This helped teach boys that no didn't really mean no, Blow wrote. Yes, because I'm sure a lot of people out there that have got in trouble for various different crimes have gone and said, you know what? It was Pepe Le Pew that sent me down this road of aggression and really made me into this criminal that I am today. I'm sure there's lots of people that are out there that are really have him to blame for this because it was him that set them on this path of destruction because he normalized it. I mean, yes, he is so much more than a 1940s, 1950s animated cartoon skunk. I mean, he's really a role model for so many, I don't know, handsy people out there. I mean, come on, guys. Like, I can be cynical, but at the same time, I'm embarrassed about this. Like, is this really my generation that's banning Dr. Seuss books? Did a New York Times reporter really write on how a cartoon skunk was promoting rape culture? Like, Is this seriously where we want to go as a nation? I mean, or as a people? Like, I mean, and then it just goes on to talk about he grabs and kisses a stranger and blah 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 all the other stuff. Which, if you've ever watched Looney Tunes, you know. Um, According to Deadline, the decision to cut Pepe from the new Legacy team was made in 2019 after Roll Bounce director Malcolm D. Lee replaced the original Helmer Terrence Nance. Nance filmed a comic, Casablanca homage, that would have placed the cartoon skunk in the same frame as Jane the Virgin star. Grease Santo in the since deleted sequence. Pepe played a bartender making eyes at Santo customer, but when he tries to make his move, she teaches him proper manners by pouring her drink over his head and slapping him silly. At that point, James and Bugs show up, hoping that Pepe can tell them where to find Lola Bunny. After providing the intel, he reveals that Penelope has filed a restraining order, and James specifically tells him that he's not allowed to grab her or any other women without their consent. Oh man, that is. I'm trying to get my head around this. The first Space Jam, when I was a little kid, was a kid's movie. Um, it was really kind of stupid. I didn't even really personally like it as a kid. But a lot. I mean, the one that got me was, I think his name was Bradley, and he was a Dallas Maverick at the time, and I was a big Dallas Maverick fan, and they stole all my talent, and I'm like, oh, they did, that explains a lot because I don't think you had any talent to to steal, basically. So I kind of laughed about it back then, um, but I almost kind of am glad that they cut Pepe Le Pew out of this, because the last thing I want to see is LeBron James talking to a animated skunk telling him that no means no. Like I was saying, I watched Space Jam as a kid. As a kid, um, probably not that much older than what my son is now. Um, do I want um do I want that message in a kid's movie? Probably not. Because I mean, who is that message really supposed to be for? Is that supposed to like no means no? Probably is something you probably shouldn't even have to tell your teenage boy. But if you're going to tell anybody, maybe that age range, but not like I don't know, you're like 6 to 9 year old. I mean, come on. That's watching this movie, that's loving Looney Tunes, and maybe loves LeBron James and basketball. I mean, I kind of feel like that's not the right message to be putting in your children's cartoon. Not because it's a bad message, but because it's just kind of, it has no relevance. Okay, I kind of take offense, and this is someone that does have a boy and a girl. I take offense to them always thinking that my boy and every other boy out there is somehow going to possibly grow up to be someone that is a criminal. I take really bad offense to that, and I feel like it is maybe it's not where you're not you're almost kind of being a little sexist in that way. And I mean that. If you think that, if you have in your mind kind of like what you've heard, where you hear these people saying, well, these boys, they're just growing up and they're going to be, these sexual predators and all that other kind of stuff. It's garbage. It's garbage. And it's not something that should ever be promoted. We should always be thinking the best and wanting the best no matter the gender for our children. The idea that they're promoting that, boys are going to grow up and be like Pepe Le Pew is a little bit ridiculous, and it's offensive. It's offensive to my boy, who I think I've raised pretty good, who I'm very proud of, and who I don't really want LeBron James lecturing to about being too handsy with girls. I don't want that. I feel like a 5-year-old boy has really bad problems with personal space. I feel like my little girl has that problem too. But they're kids. Like they're not adults. These they don't understand these things. Do you think that my son's gonna you think I'm gonna be leaving the theater and having this talk with my son about Pepe Le Pew? He's a little too handsy, son, and that's not how you want to be in life. No, I'm not gonna go and have that talk with my son because I'm a serious parent, and I'm not going to have my son think I'm a fool. Um, so I get fed up with this. I get fed up with it as a parent. I get fed up with this as an individual. I almost kind of feel like they're mocking us to a certain extent. But then I get insulted because I'm like, you know what? Do they really think that a basketball icon needs to be telling us these things? Do they think that parents aren't, like, I don't know, doing parenting stuff out there to their kids? And I kind of feel like if you think that they're not, then we got a bigger societal problem than anything LeBron James can fix. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like when LeBron James don't go out there and talk bad about, China because he wants to make money from them, but then we'll talk bad about the United States and all the problems that we have in the United States, but doesn't want to talk about all the racism and things that go on over there in China. I kind of feel like he's a little bit of a hypocrite anyways. Probably not the role model that I want my son or my daughter to grow up respecting very much. Um, he's just not on the moral high ground that I want my children looking up to. Let's just put it that way. Um, to be honest with you, I mean, I get fed up with cancel culture. I don't want to just completely and totally disregard this because I do have a daughter and I do feel like maybe they could tone it down a little bit. But at the same time, canceling anything, we are so, or should be, so beyond this as a culture. This is so medieval. Uh, Burning books, Dr. Seuss books, for goodness sakes. Like, I mean, people people that do these things, like they just literally have no concept of time. That maybe your parents or your grandparents thought differently than you. And maybe they read things that were different than what you would find acceptable by today's standards. And that's fine. I mean, that is fine. But as a person, you should be like, you know what? As a country, as a civilization, as the world grows and tries to truly do better for all people, no matter their race, gender, sexual orientation, as we try to do better in that, the idea to think, well, this book was wrote in the 1950s and it has stuff depicting, black people or homosexuals in a funny light or a negative light, and so therefore we should ban that. It's really silly because, banning Gone with the Wind because it might offend somebody. If you're offended by Gone with the Wind, then there's really no help for you at this point. There's really not. You are far, far gone when it comes to that. And I worry about you. I really, truly and worried about anybody that watches Gone with the Wind and gets triggered by it. Like that is something I would love to have a chat with causes them to be offended by that. Did not understand that times change, opinions change, views change, that things that you see in the 1930s might not represent how we think in 2020, nearly 90 years later. I mean, Pepe Le Pew was created in the 1940s. Do you really think that in the 1940s that they were thinking the same way that they're thinking in 2021? No. My wife, when I told my wife, out of all things, a woman, this about Pepe Le Pew, she laughed because she thought it was the dumbest thing she had ever heard in her life. It's coming from a woman. And to be honest with you, for a New York Times reporter to come out there and have a problem with this, I kind of feel like the New York Times maybe should, if they want to be taken seriously again, maybe should be talking about something other than a cartoon skunk that's a little bit too handsy. There's more important issues in this world, guys, not Pepe Le Pew. But as always, I'm just baffled. I'm baffled by the stupidity. I just am. I'm baffled by the stupidity. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if I'm completely and totally wrong in this idea. Like I said, I'm all over the place. I kind of understand their point. But I don't like their methods. Let's just put it that way. I just want to firmly state that I feel like Pepe Le Pew's actions could be toned down, but I don't believe he should be canceled. I don't believe he has anything to do with rape culture at all. I don't believe that any boy has ever used him as an excuse to do anything bad. In fact, I would say most boys that even watch Looney Tunes probably didn't really pay much attention to his character at all. The idea that this blow that is works for the New York Times, that he's fascinated by Pepe Le Pew is really concerning to me. He is a grown man after all, and that really worries me as another grown man that as a grown up just in general that he would be so fascinated with this. It's so strange. It's like, we have war and famine and all these different political issues of the day that's going on, but our biggest problem is Dr. Seuss and Pepe Le Pew. I don't want to be cynical, guys, but I'm going to be cynical about this. As always, guys, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I'm really interested to know if maybe I'm not taking it seriously enough. And if I'm not, I am sorry about that. But if y'all actually think that I am, that this is going a little step too far, let me know in the comment section as well. As always, thanks for watching.